3 weeks after the battle, Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood in the same war room where he had planned humanity's defense. But now the holographic displays showed a very different galaxy. Green dots marked human colonies that were no longer afraid. Blue lines showed trade routes that alien species were eager to establish. Yellow triangles indicated former enemies now requesting diplomatic meetings. Report on galactic response. Kim ordered his senior staff. Dr. Park Minji activated her presentation. With obvious satisfaction, Admiral, the news of our victory has reached every corner of known space. The results are better than we hoped. She showed images of alien worlds and space stations. 17 independent star systems have requested protection agreements with Earth. 9 species have offered exclusive trade deals. The Rigel Confederation wants to join our defense alliance. Commander Lee Jinwoo looked up from his pilot reports. Sir, our exploration fleets are being welcomed instead of threatened. Systems that used to shoot at human scouts are now sending greeting committees. Engineer Choi Yuna smiled as she shared her data. The Colonial Engineering Corps is receiving requests for technology sharing from over 30 civilizations. Everyone wants to know how our weapons work. Admiral Kim nodded, approvingly. Good, but what about our former enemies? What happened to the Galactic Dominion Council? Dr. Park's expression grew serious. That's where things get interesting, sir. The council has completely fallen apart. She activated recordings from alien news broadcasts. The Vorthak Empire is in civil war. Lower-ranking officers are rebelling against their commanders after hearing those private recordings we broadcast. Many worlds are declaring independence. The display showed burning Vorthak cities and fleets fighting each other. War Chancellor Vexithara has been stripped of command and exiled to a prison colony. The new Vorthak leadership is requesting peace, negotiations with humanity. What about the Etherians? Kim asked. Even worse situation for them, Dr. Park replied. Their psychic collective has shattered completely. Without their mental links, different Etherian groups can't coordinate with each other. Some have gone insane from the isolation. Others are trying to rebuild their society without psychic powers. She showed images of confused Etherian refugees wandering through space stations. Seer Nixara had a complete mental breakdown. She's been hospitalized on their home world. Many Etherians are now seeking human help to learn how to think as individuals. And the Chromari? Perhaps the most interesting development, Dr. Park said. Architect Zolwyn's computer brain was so damaged by trying to understand our tactics that it started thinking creatively instead of logically. The display showed the mechanical alien leader, but he looked different now. His metal body was decorated with colorful patterns, and his glowing eyes seemed more alive than before. He's become an artist, Dr. Park explained. He creates sculptures and music that other Chromari call beautiful chaos. Their entire civilization is experiencing something they've never had before. Imagination. Admiral Kim walked to the viewing window and looked out at the stars. 23 minutes, he said quietly. That's how long it took to change the entire balance of galactic power. Sir, Commander Lee said, there's something else. We've been receiving messages from species we've never even heard of. Word of the battle has reached the far edges of the galaxy. He activated a new display showing distant star systems. The Andromedan Trade Alliance wants to establish relations. The crystal beings from the Galactic Core are sending ambassadors. Even the mysterious Shadow Fleet has made contact. Dr. Park looked concerned. Admiral, some of these new contacts might not be friendly. Our victory has attracted attention from very powerful civilizations. I expected that, Kim replied calmly. Success always brings new challenges, but we've proven that humanity can handle unexpected threats. Engineer, Choi brought up tactical displays. Sir, the Colonial Defense Force is already building new ships based on our battle experience. We have orders for 500 stealth frigates and 200 quantum disruption platforms. Excellent. What about our technology sharing with new allies? We're being very careful, Choi said. We share enough to show good faith but keep our most advanced weapons secret. The quantum cascade missiles remain classified to only our closest allies. A communication signal interrupted their meeting. Admiral Kim activated the display to see an alien he didn't recognize. a tall being with silver skin and multiple eyes. "Greetings. Admiral Kim Tai-ho of Earth," the being said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Neutral Systems Coalition. We represent over 200 independent worlds." "Ambassador," Kim replied politely, "how can humanity help you?" "We wish to propose the formation of a new galactic government," Veltar said. "One based on cooperation rather than domination. We would like Earth to be a founding member of the Free Worlds Alliance." Admiral Kim exchanged glances with his staff. This was an unexpected development. "That's a significant proposal, Ambassador. What would this alliance involve?" "Mutual defense, free trade, and shared technology development," Veltar explained. "No member world would be forced to join wars or follow another's orders. Each species would maintain its independence while benefiting from cooperation." Dr. Park whispered to the Admiral, "Sir, this could be the foundation of a new galactic order, much better than the old Dominion system." Kim nodded and addressed the Ambassador. "We're interested in learning more. Please send formal proposals to our diplomatic corps. Humanity values freedom and independence." "Excellent," Veltar replied. "We will dispatch a full diplomatic mission to Earth within the month. The galaxy is changing, Admiral. It needs leaders who understand that strength comes from unity, not conquest." The communication ended, leaving the human staff to consider these new possibilities. "Admiral," Commander Lee said, "it seems our victory did more than just save Earth. We might have started a galactic revolution." Kim walked back to the star map showing human space. 3 weeks ago, humanity had controlled 12 star systems and lived in fear of alien conquest. Now they were being invited to help lead a new galactic civilization. "Dr. Park," he said, "begin preparing comprehensive files on all the species requesting contact. We need to understand who we're dealing with before we make any commitments." "Already started, sir. I'm particularly interested in the species that oppose the Dominion, but were too weak to resist alone. They could become strong allies." Engineer Choi pulled up ship construction schedules. "Admiral, with all these new trade agreements, our shipyards are working at maximum capacity. We're building vessels for exploration, diplomacy, and defense. The Colonial Council has approved funding for 50 new space stations." "Good. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Our victory has made us a major power, but that comes with responsibilities." A young communications officer approached with a message pad. "Sir, this just came in from the outer colonies. It's marked urgent." Kim read the message and smiled. "Interesting news. The mining colony at Alpha Centauri has discovered ancient ruins. The archaeologists think they might belong to a civilization that disappeared millions of years ago." "More mysteries," Dr. Park said. "As if we don't have enough to deal with already." "The galaxy is full of secrets," Kim replied. "Now that we're no longer hiding from stronger powers, we can help uncover them." Commander Lee stood up and walked to the tactical display. "Admiral, I have to ask, do you think we'll face another challenge like the Dominion fleet?" Kim considered the question carefully. "Probably. Victory makes you a target. Other species will want to test our strength, either as enemies or potential allies. But we've proven something important." He turned to address his entire staff. "We've shown that humans don't have to be the strongest or most advanced to win. We just have to be smarter, more creative, and more adaptable than our opponents." Dr. Park added, "The psychological impact of our victory might be more important than the military impact. We shattered the idea that primitives can't defeat advanced civilizations." "Exactly," Kim agreed. "The Dominion Council believed their own propaganda about superior species and inferior ones. They forgot that intelligence and determination matter more than technology." Engineer Choi looked at her latest reports. "Sir, requests for human military advisors are coming in from dozens of worlds. Everyone wants to learn our tactics." "Approved, but carefully managed. We share knowledge with species that show good faith, but we don't create new problems by arming potential enemies." A new signal came through, this time from Earth's government. Kim activated the display to see President Chen of the Colonial Council. "Admiral," the president said, Congratulations on handling our new diplomatic contacts so well. The Council has decided to grant you expanded authority over all human space operations. Thank you, Madam President. What are my new responsibilities? You're now Supreme Fleet Commander for all human space forces. You'll also oversee our diplomatic relations with alien species. Essentially, you're our representative to the galaxy. Kim accepted the promotion with dignity. I understand the honor and responsibility, Madam President. Humanity will be represented with strength and wisdom. After the President's message ended, Kim turned to his loyal staff. The Great Council chamber stretched out like a massive arena. Its walls rose high above the floor, covered in smooth metal that reflected the bright lights hanging from the ceiling. 12 different alien species sat in curved rows, each group wearing their own special colors and symbols. The air hummed with the sound of translation devices working to turn all the different languages into something everyone could understand. Admiral Jiho walked slowly into the chamber. His black uniform was clean and pressed, with silver stars on his shoulders that caught the light. Behind him came Ambassador Minju, wearing a dark blue suit that made her look professional and serious. Colonel Wu Jin followed last, his military boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. All three humans kept their faces calm and showed no emotions as hundreds of alien eyes watched them. The aliens whispered to each other as the humans took their seats. Some pointed with long fingers or tentacles. Others made clicking sounds with their mouths or throats. A few species had no mouths at all and communicated through flashing lights on their bodies. But all of them had the same look in their eyes when they stared at the three humans. It was the look of creatures who thought they had already won. At the center of the chamber sat the most important aliens. The Vorthak Prime Minister Gextel was huge, almost 3 meters tall, with thick gray skin and 4 arms. Each arm ended in hands with too many fingers. His voice was deep and made the floor vibrate when he spoke. Next to him sat Chancellor, Velthar of the Zephyrians. She was thin and tall with pale blue skin that seemed to glow in the light. Her head was longer than a human head, and her eyes were completely black with no white parts at all. The human delegation has arrived, Gextal announced. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. Today we will discuss the terms of their surrender. The word surrender echoed through the room. Many aliens made sounds that might have been laughter, though it was hard to tell with so many different species. Some banged objects on their desks. Others flashed bright colors. Across their skin, the humans sat quietly and did not react. Minju opened a small device and began recording everything. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, but her face stayed calm. Wu Jin sat with his back straight, hands folded in his lap, eyes looking ahead at nothing in particular. Jiho simply waited. Chancellor Velthar stood up. When she moved, she seemed to flow like water instead of walking like other creatures. Her voice was much quieter than Gextal's, but it carried clearly through the chamber. For the past 2 years, humans have expanded into space that does not belong to them, she said. They have built colonies on worlds that were claimed by other species. They have attacked our ships and destroyed our outposts. They have refused to follow the laws that keep peace in our galaxy. More sounds of agreement came from the alien audience. Some species stamped their feet. Others made high whistling noises. A group of creatures that looked like giant insects clicked their mandibles together in rhythm. But today, Velthar continued, we offer mercy. Instead of destroying all human worlds, we will allow your species to continue existing. In return, you must accept our terms. She touched a control, and a large screen appeared in the air above the center of the room. Words appeared on the screen in the human language. The terms were listed in neat, organized rows. First, humans would give up 70% of their colonies. The aliens would choose which ones to keep and which ones humans could still live on. Second, all human military ships would be destroyed, except for a small number used for protecting trade routes. Third, humans would work for the alien species, building things they needed and mining resources from human worlds. Fourth, no human could travel between star systems without permission from the Galactic Confederation. Fifth, humans would pay tribute every year, food, metals, and technology, to show they accepted alien rule. As each term appeared on the screen, the aliens became more excited. They whispered and pointed, and made their various sounds of pleasure. To them, these terms were generous. They could have demanded complete slavery or the destruction of all human worlds. Instead, they were allowing humans to live, even if that life would be under alien control. Jiho read each term carefully. His gray hair was cut short in military style, and his weathered face showed many years of experience. But he showed no anger, no fear, no surprise. He simply read and remembered. Wu Jin's eyes moved from the screen to different groups of aliens, then back to the screen. He was noting which species seemed most eager about which terms. His training told him to watch for weaknesses and opportunities, even in situations that looked hopeless. Minju continued recording and taking notes. She wrote quickly but neatly, making sure to capture not just the words but also the reactions of different alien species. Her diplomatic training had taught her that the things people didn't say were often more important than the things they did say. "These terms are final," Gextal declared. "Humans will accept them today, or we will be forced to use stronger measures." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Everyone knew what stronger measures meant. The aliens had more ships, more weapons, and more soldiers than humanity. They controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes and resources. If they decided to crush humanity completely, there would be nothing to stop them, or so they believed. Several alien representatives stood up to add their own comments. A creature that looked like a walking tree spoke about how humans had cut down forests on disputed worlds. A being made of what seemed like living crystal complained about human mining operations. Another species, covered in fur and walking on 6 legs, growled about human traders competing with their businesses. Each complaint was added to the list of human crimes. Each alien who spoke became more dramatic, more angry, more certain that humans deserved punishment. The chamber filled with the sounds of alien voices demanding justice and revenge. Through it all, the 3 humans sat quietly. They did not defend themselves. They did not argue with the accusations. They did not even look upset or afraid. This calm reaction puzzled some of the aliens. They had expected humans to beg for mercy or try to negotiate better terms. They had prepared for angry arguments or desperate offers. Instead, they got silence. Chancellor Velthar seemed most disturbed by the human reaction. Her black eyes studied Jiho's face, looking for signs of the emotions she expected to see, but his expression revealed nothing. "Do the humans have anything to say about these terms?" she asked. All conversation in the chamber stopped. Hundreds of alien beings waited to hear how humanity would respond to the demand for surrender. Admiral Jiho slowly stood up. He was not as tall as most aliens in the room, and he certainly was not as impressive-looking as the massive Gextal or the elegant Veltar, but something about the way he moved made everyone pay attention. "Thank you for explaining your position," he said simply. His voice was neither loud nor quiet, neither angry nor afraid. "We understand what you want from humanity." He paused and looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives from different species. Some of them shifted uncomfortably under his steady gaze. "We will need time to discuss your terms among ourselves," Jiho continued. "This is an important decision that affects all humans everywhere." Gextal made a sound that might have been laughter. "You have no choice in this matter, human. You will accept our terms or face the consequences." "Of course," Jiho replied politely. "We understand the situation perfectly." The way he said "perfectly" made some aliens uneasy, though they could not explain why. There was something in his tone that did not match the words he spoke. "You have 1 hour," Velthar declared. "Then you will give us your answer." Jiho nodded and sat back down. Minju closed her recording device. Wu Jin remained perfectly still. The aliens began talking among themselves again, but more quietly now. Some seemed confused by the humans' calm response. Others were already planning how to divide up human territory and resources. None of them noticed the small smile that briefly crossed Admiral Jiho's lips before he made his face blank again. The hour passed slowly. The alien representatives continued their discussions about how to divide human territory. Some argued over which worlds had the best resources. Others debated which species deserved the largest share of human colonies. The Vorthak wanted planets with heavy metals for their weapons factories. The Zephyrians preferred worlds with rare crystals that powered their technology. Each species had their own desires and plans. Meanwhile, the three humans sat quietly in their designated area. They did not huddle together for whispered conversations. They did not look worried or panicked. Jiho simply stared straight ahead, occasionally checking a small timepiece on his wrist. Minju organized her notes with the same careful attention she would give to any diplomatic meeting. Wujin observed the alien delegates, memorizing their positions and behaviors. This calm behavior continued to puzzle many aliens. They had expected desperate planning, frantic communications with human leaders, or at least some sign of fear. Instead, the humans acted as if this were a normal business meeting. When the hour ended, Chancellor Velthar stood up again. The chamber became quiet as all attention focused on the front of the room. "The time for discussion is over," she announced. "Humans will now accept our terms and begin the process of surrender." Admiral Jiho rose slowly from his chair. He straightened his uniform and looked around the chamber one more time. Then he did something that shocked every alien present. He smiled. It was not a happy smile or a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile someone might wear when they knew something important that others did not know. "Thank you for your generous offer," Jiho said. His voice carried clearly through the suddenly silent chamber. "But we must decline." The word "decline" seemed to echo louder than it should have. For several seconds, no one moved or made any sound. Then, Gextal exploded into motion. All four of his massive arms gestured wildly as he stood up to his full height. "You cannot decline," he roared. "You have no choice. Your species is defeated." "That is what you believe," Jiho replied calmly. "But believing something does not make it true." Velthar's black eyes narrowed. "Explain your meaning, human." Instead of answering immediately, Jiho turned to Ambassador Minju. She stood up and activated a holographic projector that she had brought with her. The air above the center of the chamber filled with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. "You have mentioned several battles where human forces were defeated," Minju said. Her diplomatic voice remained professional and clear. "You are correct that we lost those engagements." Red dots appeared on the map, showing the locations where human ships had been destroyed or human outposts had been abandoned. There were many red dots scattered across the outer edges of human territory. The aliens nodded and made sounds of agreement. These defeats proved that humanity was losing the war. "However," Minju continued, "you have made an incorrect assumption about these battles." She touched a control, and the red dots began to pulse with light. Lines appeared connecting them to each other and to other locations on the map. "You assumed that these defeats meant our military was collapsing," she explained. In reality, each battle was carefully planned to achieve specific goals. The aliens looked confused. How could losing battles be part of a plan? Colonel Wujin stood up and joined Minju near the hologram. His military bearing was even more obvious now as he began to explain the situation from a tactical perspective. Every human ship that was destroyed transmitted detailed information about alien weapons, shield technology, and combat tactics back to our command centers, he said. Every outpost that was abandoned contained hidden sensors that recorded how your forces operated when they thought no humans were watching. The holographic display changed to show the flow of information from each battle site back to human space. The aliens began to realize that what they had seen as desperate last stands had actually been intelligence-gathering operations. "You studied our military capabilities," Velthar said slowly. There was a new tone in her voice that had not been there before. It sounded almost like respect, mixed with concern. "We studied everything," Wujin confirmed. "How each species prefers to attack, what formations you use, how long your weapons take to recharge, how your shields respond to different types of damage, which species work well together, and which ones do not trust each other." As he spoke, the holographic display showed detailed analysis of alien military tactics. Ship movements were broken down and analyzed. Weapon patterns were identified and cataloged. Even the communication frequencies used by different species were mapped and recorded. The chamber became very quiet as the aliens realized the true scope of human intelligence gathering. What they had seen as random, desperate battles had actually been systematic data collection. This information was used to develop new human military technology. Minju added, ships designed specifically to counter alien advantages, weapons that could penetrate alien shields, tactics that exploited weaknesses we discovered in alien formations. Gextal's forearms clenched into fists. "You are bluffing," he declared. "Humans do not have the industrial capacity to build enough ships to threaten the Confederation." "That brings us to another incorrect assumption," Jiho said. He had remained quiet while his colleagues explained the intelligence operations. Now, he stepped forward to address the heart of the matter. "You assume that because you could see some human industrial facilities, you could see all of them." The holographic display shifted again. Now it showed human space, but with many more facilities than the aliens had known existed. Shipyards, factories, and research centers appeared on worlds that the aliens had thought were empty or only lightly populated. "While your attention was focused on border skirmishes, humans were building," Jiho explained. "We constructed new facilities and systems you had never explored. We hid production centers inside asteroids and on the dark sides of moons. We built automated factories that operated without any visible human presence." The scale of human construction became clear as more and more hidden facilities appeared on the map. The aliens had thought human industrial capacity was limited to a few dozen major worlds. In reality, humans had been building on hundreds of worlds and thousands of smaller installations. "For every ship you destroyed in battle, we built 10. More in secret," Wujin added. "For every weapon you studied, we developed 3 new ones you have never seen. For every weakness you thought you found in human defenses, we prepared countermeasures." The alien delegates began talking among themselves in urgent whispers. Some called their home worlds on communication devices. Others demanded to speak with their military commanders. The confident atmosphere that had filled the chamber an hour earlier was rapidly disappearing. Chancellor Velthar stood up again, but this time her flowing movements seemed less elegant and more agitated. "If what you claim is true, why did you come here at all? Why attend peace negotiations if you are prepared for war?" "Because we hoped you might be reasonable," Jiho replied. "War is expensive and destructive for everyone involved. We would prefer to resolve our differences through discussion rather than violence. But your terms for surrender are unacceptable," Minju added. "They assume that humanity is weak and defeated. They treat us as criminals who must be punished rather than as equals who deserve respect." The holographic display changed one more time. Now it showed not just human space, but the current positions of alien fleets throughout the galaxy. Many aliens were surprised to see how accurately humans had tracked their ship movements. "We know where all of your military forces are positioned," Wujin stated. "We know which systems are heavily defended and which ones are vulnerable. We know how long it would take each species to mobilize additional forces and where those forces would likely be deployed." "You have been planning for war while pretending to want peace," Gextal accused. His voice was still loud, but it no longer carried the same confidence it had before. "No," Jiho corrected. "We have been preparing for war while genuinely hoping for peace. There is a difference." He walked closer to the center of the chamber, near the holographic display that showed the true scope of human preparation. "You made assumptions about humanity based on incomplete information," he continued. "You assumed that because we are a young species, we must be naive. You assumed that because we lost some battles, we must be losing the war. You assumed that because we wanted peace, we must be weak." The chamber was completely silent now. Even the translation devices seemed to be working more quietly than before. "All of your assumptions were wrong," Jiho concluded. "And now you must decide what to do with that knowledge." The silence in the chamber stretched on for long moments. Alien representatives stared at the holographic display, showing the true extent of human preparation. Some delegates frantically worked their communication devices, trying to contact their homeworlds and military commands. Others sat frozen in their seats, processing the implications of what they had just learned. Chancellor Velthar was the first to break the silence. Her voice had lost its smooth, confident tone and now carried a sharp edge of concern. "You claim to have hidden facilities and secret fleets," she said, "but we have seen no evidence of these forces. Perhaps you are simply trying to frighten us with lies and false displays." Admiral Jiho nodded as if he had expected this response. "A reasonable doubt," he acknowledged. "Minju, would you please provide our guests with current verification?" Ambassador Minju touched her control device again. The holographic display shifted to show what appeared to be live images from various locations throughout human space. The first image showed a massive asteroid field where dozens of hidden shipyards became visible as camouflaged barriers retracted. Sleek warships emerged from concealed berths, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. "This is the Kepler facility," Minju explained. "It has been producing vessels for 18 months. The asteroids provided both raw materials and perfect camouflage." The next image showed what had appeared to be a barren moon orbiting a gas giant. Suddenly, huge sections of the moon's surface opened like flower petals, revealing enormous underground factories. Assembly lines stretched for kilometers, with partially completed warships moving along automated construction systems. "The Titan Production Center," she continued. "It can build 6 capital ships simultaneously and has been operating at full capacity for over a year." More images followed in quick succession, a seemingly empty system where invisible space stations suddenly became visible as their stealth systems deactivated. Orbital platforms hidden in the shadow of planets, now revealing massive weapons arrays. Supply depots disguised as space debris, opening to show stockpiles of ammunition and equipment that could support prolonged military campaigns. But the most shocking revelation came when the display showed images from within alien space itself. Human listening posts hidden in asteroid fields near major alien worlds, spy satellites positioned along alien trade routes, even infiltration teams that had been gathering intelligence from alien facilities for months without detection. "You have been spying on us," Gextal roared, all 4 arms slamming down on his desk. "This is a violation of galactic law." "Actually, it is not," Minju replied calmly. She had returned to her diplomatic mode, speaking with the careful precision of someone who had studied interstellar law extensively. "The Galactic Confederation Charter permits intelligence gathering for defensive purposes when a species believes itself under threat." She activated another display showing legal documents and precedents. Article 15 clearly states that any species facing unprovoked attacks may take necessary measures to protect itself. Since alien forces attacked human colonies first, our intelligence operations fall under defensive doctrine. Colonel Wu Jin stepped forward to add the military perspective. "Every human installation that was attacked was in unclaimed space according to Galactic Survey records. We filed proper colonization claims and waited the required time periods before establishing permanent settlements. Your species attacked us without legal justification." The holographic display now showed detailed records of human expansion. Every colony had been established according to proper procedures. Every claim had been filed with the appropriate galactic authorities. The attacks on these settlements had indeed been unprovoked aggression according to the Confederation's own. Plus, several alien delegates began arguing among themselves. Some accused others of providing false information about human activities. The Vorthak representatives claimed they had been told human colonies were illegal settlements. The Zephyrians insisted their intelligence sources had confirmed human treaty violations. "You were all told what you wanted to hear," Jiho observed. "Each species received information that justified the actions they were already planning to take." The implications of this statement sent ripples of unease through the chamber. If Admiral Jiho was correct, it meant someone had deliberately provided false intelligence to multiple species in order to start this conflict. "Who would do such a thing?" asked a delegate from the crystalline species. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Someone who benefits from chaos," Wu Jin replied. "Someone who gains advantage when other species are fighting each other instead of competing in trade or politics." The holographic display shifted again to show economic data. Trade routes, resource flows, and financial transactions painted a picture of how the conflict had affected different species. While most had suffered losses from the war, a few had gained significant advantages from the disruption of normal commerce. The Hegemony Trading Consortium has increased profits by 40% since hostilities began, Minju noted. Certain mining operations have acquired valuable contracts as primary suppliers were disrupted. Some shipping companies now control routes they could never access during peacetime. The revelation that the conflict might have been deliberately engineered for profit created a new wave of angry discussion among the delegates. Species that had been united in their opposition to humanity now began to eye each other with suspicion. But Jiho was not finished revealing the depth of human preparation. While you were distracted by the question of who started this conflict, you missed the more important question of how it will end. The holographic display changed once more, now showing tactical simulations of various battle scenarios. Human fleet positions optimized for both offensive and defensive operations. Supply lines that could maintain extended campaigns. Defensive networks that could protect human worlds while allowing strike forces to operate deep in alien territory. We have run every possible scenario, Wu Jin explained. Single-species attacks, multi-species alliances, simultaneous assaults on multiple fronts. We have prepared responses for all of them. The simulations played out like a deadly chess game. In every scenario, human forces demonstrated advantages that the aliens had not anticipated. New weapon technologies that countered alien shields. Tactics that exploited the poor coordination between different species. Intelligence networks that provided perfect information about enemy movements. This is impossible, protested a delegate. From the insectoid species, his mandibles clicking rapidly. No species could prepare so thoroughly in such a short time. You are correct, Jiho agreed. No single species could accomplish this alone. The chamber became quiet again as delegates waited for the explanation of this apparent contradiction. Humans are not operating alone, Minju revealed. We have allies. The holographic display showed new information that shocked the alien delegates even more than anything they had seen before. Several species that were supposed to be part of the Confederation were actually providing support to humanity. The Antarians, masters of stealth technology, had been helping humans hide their military installations. The Kalari, experts in defensive systems, had shared shield designs that made human bases nearly impregnable. Even some factions within supposedly hostile species had been secretly cooperating with human intelligence operations. The Kalari are our allies? Chancellor Velthar asked in disbelief. They voted to support sanctions against humanity. Their government voted for sanctions, Minju clarified, but many Kalari citizens and businesses oppose those sanctions. They have been providing assistance through unofficial channels. Wu Jin added more details about the alliance network. The Antarians were concerned about aggressive expansion by other species. They saw cooperation with humans as a way to maintain balance in the galaxy. The Kellery had been targeted by the same false intelligence that was used to justify attacks on human colonies. They realized they might be next. The revelation of hidden alliances completely changed the strategic situation. What had appeared to be humanity standing alone against the galaxy was actually a coalition of species working together against a smaller group of aggressors. Even some members of your own species have been questioning this conflict, Jiho informed the delegates. Not everyone agreed with the decision to attack human settlements. Not everyone supports the demand for human surrender. The holographic display showed communication intercepts and diplomatic cables revealing internal dissent within several alien governments. Military commanders questioning their orders. Civilian leaders expressing doubts about the war. Even some members of the very council that had demanded human surrender were shown to have private reservations about the aggressive policies. The carefully constructed image of galactic unity against humanity crumbled as the true complexity of the situation became clear. Multiple factions, competing interests, secret alliances, and hidden agendas had created a political situation far more complicated than a simple demand for surrender. So you see, Jiho concluded, your assumption that humanity stands alone and defeated was incorrect. Your assumption that all Confederation species support this conflict was incorrect. The atmosphere in the chamber had completely changed. Where confidence and arrogance had dominated the first hour, uncertainty and fear now filled the air. Alien delegates whispered urgently among themselves, their various languages creating a confused buzz of sound. Many kept glancing at the holographic displays that still showed the true extent of human military preparation. Prime Minister Gextal stood up, his massive frame trembling with anger or fear or both. If what you claim is true, then why are we here at all? Why did you come to these negotiations if you do not need peace? Admiral Jiho moved closer to the center of the chamber. His calm demeanor had not changed throughout the revelations, but now there was something different in his posture. He stood like someone who held all the important cards in a very dangerous game. Because, Jiho said simply, humanity prefers peace to war. We always have. He gestured to the holographic displays around them. Everything you have seen represents preparation for a conflict we hoped would never come. We built these fleets because you forced us to defend ourselves. We gathered this intelligence because your attacks made it necessary. We formed these alliances because we needed friends in a hostile galaxy. Colonel Wu Jin stepped forward to add his analysis. War is expensive and destructive for everyone involved. Even when you win, you lose resources, people, and time that could be used for better purposes. We would rather spend our efforts on exploration, scientific research, and building better lives for our citizens. But, Ambassador Minju added with diplomatic precision, we will not accept surrender terms that treat us as criminals or defeated enemies, especially when we are neither. The alien delegates looked confused. They had expected either surrender or defiance, not a lecture about human preferences for peace. Chancellor Velthar spoke up, her voice more careful than it had been earlier. What exactly are you proposing then? Jiho smiled, but this time it was not the mysterious smile from before. This was the smile of someone about to change the rules of the game completely. I am proposing that we discuss more reasonable terms, he said. Terms that reflect the actual situation, rather than the false assumptions that brought us here. He nodded to Minju, who activated her holographic projector once again. This time, instead of showing military installations or intelligence operations, the display showed a simple list of human demands. The first item appeared in large, clear letters: immediate cessation of all hostile actions against human settlements and shipping. This seemed reasonable enough that several delegates nodded in agreement, but the second item caused gasps and angry muttering throughout the chamber. Formal apology for unprovoked attacks on lawful human colonies. You want us to apologize? Gextal roared. You want the Galactic Confederation to admit wrongdoing? Not the entire Confederation, Minju clarified. Only those species that participated in illegal attacks on human settlements, according to our records that includes the Vorthak, Zephyrians, Hegemony Forces, and 3 minor species. The third item on the list caused even more outrage. Reparations for destroyed colonies and lost human lives. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several delegates stood up and shouted in their native languages. Others banged objects on their desks or flashed angry colors across their skin. The translation devices struggled to keep up with all the simultaneous conversations. This is ridiculous, Chancellor Velthar declared. You cannot demand payment from species that are vastly more powerful than humanity. Actually, we can, Wu Jin replied calmly. And we are. The fourth item appeared on the display. Recognition of all current human territorial claims in previously unclaimed systems. This was followed by the fifth item. Establishment of formal, diplomatic relations between humanity and all Confederation species. And finally, the sixth and most surprising item. Mutual defense agreements with species that desire peaceful coexistence. The aliens stared at the list in stunned silence. These were not the desperate requests of a defeated species begging for mercy. These were the demands of equals who expected to be treated with respect. You are insane, declared a delegate from the crystalline species. No defeated species in galactic history has ever made demands of their conquerors. We are not defeated, Jiho reminded her. That was your first incorrect assumption. He walked to the holographic display and gestured to the list of human demands. These terms are based on facts rather than assumptions. The fact is that human colonies were attacked illegally. The fact is that we have the military capability to defend ourselves. The fact is that several species would prefer cooperation to conflict. Ambassador Minju took over the explanation of how the demands would be implemented. Reparations would be paid over time in materials and resources rather than currency. No species would be required to bankrupt themselves. The apologies would be formal statements acknowledging that the attacks were based on false information. She activated a new display showing exactly which colonies had been attacked and what compensation would be appropriate for each incident. The amounts were significant but not unreasonable. More importantly, they would be paid in resources that human colonies actually needed for reconstruction rather than arbitrary tribute. The mutual defense agreements are voluntary, Wujin added. Any species that wants to maintain hostile relations with humanity can do so. But species that choose cooperation would receive benefits including shared defensive technologies and joint patrol operations in contested regions. Several delegates immediately objected to the idea of sharing military technology with humans, but others seemed intrigued by the possibilities. The holographic display showed how human innovations could enhance alien defensive capabilities, while alien expertise could improve human exploration and colonization efforts. What about the species that prefer to remain neutral? Asked a delegate from the tree-like species. Would humanity respect their decision to avoid involvement in galactic politics? Of course, Jiho replied. Humanity has no interest in forcing relationships on species that prefer isolation. We only ask that neutral species not provide support to those who continue hostile actions against us. The chamber filled with urgent discussions as delegates considered the implications of the human demands. Some species clearly wanted to reject everything and continue the conflict. Others seemed interested in the possibility of cooperation. A few appeared to be calculating whether they could afford the requested reparations. Chancellor Velthar stood up again, her elegant movements now showing signs of stress and fatigue. These terms are completely different from what we expected to discuss today. Because the situation is completely different from what you expected, Minju pointed out. You came here expecting to dictate surrender terms to a defeated enemy. Instead, you discovered that you are facing an equal who is offering partnership. Partnership? Gextal's voice carried disbelief. You speak of partnership while displaying weapons designed to destroy our fleets. We display weapons designed to defend our people, Wujin corrected. The same weapons could be used to defend your people if you choose cooperation over conflict. A new holographic display showed potential joint operations between human and alien forces. Combined fleets that could protect trade routes more effectively than either species could alone. Shared intelligence networks that would prevent the kind of misinformation that had started this conflict. Coordinated exploration missions that could discover new worlds and resources for everyone. The choice is yours, Jiho said simply. You can continue to base your decisions on false assumptions and face the consequences of prolonged warfare, or you can accept the reality of the situation and work toward mutual benefit. He checked his timepiece and then looked directly at the most senior alien delegates. We will give you time to consider our terms and consult with your governments, but not too much time. The chamber became very quiet as everyone waited for him to explain what he meant by that statement. Human patience has limits, Admiral Jiho continued. We came here hoping for reasonable discussion. We have provided you with facts and fair terms. If those terms are rejected, humanity will assume that peaceful coexistence is impossible. And then? Chancellor Velthar asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. And then we will act accordingly, Jiho replied with the same calm voice he had used throughout the meeting. But now everyone in the chamber understood the steel beneath that calm exterior.